Halloween has finished and November is upon us. Oh, and there's a different cat in the video today. This is Angel. She's shy and she's never around. It's usually Dick that likes to be in the videos. All right. Anyway, Halloween has just finished. November is upon us. And unless you're one of those silly people that like to do all of your Christmas shopping in August, you're probably starting to think about the holidays. And if you have a little one in your life, you're probably thinking about what you could get them. And if they're little, especially if you got a little boy, but there's plenty of little girls that play with Brio as well. But odds are maybe they're into trains. Who doesn't like a train? Everything you see here is a piece of modern Brio merchandise. The prices on these products range from anywhere from about $15 on up to about $90. And there are far more expensive Brio sets than that, but this seemed like a good selection with which we could get started. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and I will help you out. We'll see what we can get, what's appropriate for the little person in your life, and what's maybe affordable for your wallet, and all that good stuff. Let's start down here. I reviewed this product back in April of 2023, and that was a very popular video. I think this is a very popular product. It is called the Speedy bullet train. I will put an item number in the description, but its product name is the Speedy bullet train. It can be had for usually around $20. 20 to 25 is normal for this, I believe. Certainly no more than 30, but I think about 25, 22, something like that's what I usually see on this. I would recommend, and I will also include links, I would recommend starting with Walmart.com. Now, Brio, the company, has an Amazon store, and you're going to find maybe a wider selection of products on their Amazon store, but I have personally found that sometimes I get a little bit better price on Walmart.com. So maybe start there, be a wise and thrifty shopper, of course, but my advice for Brio, because Brio is not cheap, and we'll do a whole nother video on why Brio is a little more expensive, and I'll touch on that maybe a little bit here in a couple minutes. But I would start with Walmart.com, and wow, this cat that never ever wants to be in the videos is just really hi, Angel. All right, so we recently, oh my goodness, I can't control them, guys. If I locked them out of the basement, they'd be at the door yelling, and you'd hear them in the background. But very recently on this channel, we reviewed this. This is the mighty, oh no, I'm gonna mess it up. The Mighty Red Action Locomotive. That's it. It was the Mighty Red Action Locomotive, and this is a battery powered Brio train. Let's see if I think my battery died. Nope, there it goes. Oh, it's pushing the other one off the track. But that's a battery-powered Brio locomotive. They did not have those back in the day when I was a little guy, and I would have loved a battery-powered Brio locomotive. Okay, just as a heads up for mom and dad, the battery-powered, at least this one, they are not the easiest to get the batteries in and out of. And there's a screw down the smokestack there, and you can get it done with a small Phillips. It's actually a slightly different head. It's something European, but I was able to find one at True Value Hardware, and that slides off, and then a AAA battery goes in, and you gotta line it all up just right. And it was a task for this 43-year-old, and I'm like, this is a toy for a 3-year-old. It's not supposed to be that hard, but I maybe once you do it once or twice, you get the hang of it, and it's not a big deal anymore. So that's the story with the battery locomotives, and that's now moving on. Oh, by the way, this is going to run you on average. These are going to run you about $40. Now it has a brother, and this is the Mighty Gold Action Locomotive. And as you can see, it's got a shiny gold finish, and for whatever reason, Angel is just really into the videos today. She could 90% of the time she could care less what I'm doing, but the Mighty Gold Action Locomotive, and it's basically the same train but different colors. Obviously, the red parts are gold and it has black wheels, but it is basically the same. I don't know this definitively, but I have only seen these. I have only seen these at Barnes and Noble. I don't know if it's a product that's exclusive to Barnes and Noble, or just when I've been out and about, other people are just out of stock. I'm really not sure. But Barnes and Noble does generally stock some Brio and some competitor Brio brands. They don't have a giant selection, but they'll always have some. And the only time I've ever seen this has been at Barnes & Noble, and I think I still have the price tag on this. Where is it? There it is. $36.99. So like I said, these generally go for about $40. So I'm going to do a full review on this one very soon. So if you are not subscribed to the channel and you want to see that, hit the subscribe button. And I think this gold locomotive goes really good with this guy that I'll be reviewing soon. And this is the light up gold wagon. And as you can see, get the reflection off there. It has a hopper car full of gold, which is awesome. I'm a little bit of a gold bug. I like to invest in a little physical gold, just a little bit. And I already took the price tag. Maybe it didn't have a price tag. Regardless, it's not terribly expensive. It's about $20. Give or take. You know, they're all a little bit different. I bought that one online at Amazon. I have seen it at Barnes & Noble. It's a little more expensive at Barnes & Noble, but it's around. And also, in the next week or two, I will have a full review on that as well. So let me slide these back over here. Now, here's a interesting one right up front. And this is a lumber car, lumber loading wagon. And this is an interesting Brio piece to me because it's of how long it is. Usually, most Brios, I did another starter set a little while back, and that's the log car, the lumber car it came with. But this one's a real big one. It's almost twice as long. And, you know, they're not terribly expensive. There's the back. At Barnes & Noble, I believe they were about $17 or $18. I've seen them on Amazon and at Walmart for $14.99. So that's probably about the least expensive item we have here. Is this one here at about $15. And it's got a magnet on top. And if you have a set that has like a crane and stuff, you can pick up the lumber off the wagon car and move it or whatever. So I mean, you got some fun play possibilities there. And again, I'll be reviewing this very soon. I'll give you a full in-depth review, but it's pretty straightforward. And I recently, this set right here, the Brio Wooden Railway 65th anniversary set, I recently did a video. I'll put a card up and I'll have a link at the end of this video. This retails for about $89.99 generally. Maybe you can find it a little cheaper. You should not pay more than $100 for it, but it's usually right around 85, 90, somewhere in that range. You get a circle of track with a crossover piece that has a bridge. You get a couple trees, and you get an old school looking Brio engine and 3 freight cars. And that's a great starter set. Not a lot of people watched that video. I don't know why. I thought I did a really good job. But that's a great starting point. If you're starting from scratch, you don't already have any Brio track or anything like that, that's a great place to start. Now just above that is the safari train. So if you have a little one that loves animals or is a future veterinarian or likes trains and enjoyed the zoo or something like that, that would be a good set. It's I got this one on Amazon. It was around $30. That's shouldn't pay more than that. That should be about the price. It doesn't come with any track. It just comes with the engine and the two cars. The head of the zebra and the giraffe, they bob up and down. You can push them down, and it's a fun set, especially if you're into animals. I love how the engine has a kind of a giraffe decoration on it and whatnot, and something you don't see on a lot of Brio locomotives. That one has a coupler. I call it a coupler because it's a coupler, but Brio uses magnets. That engine has one on the front. You don't see that on too many Brio locomotives, so that's cool and unusual for that reason. Now, if you want to buy, if you know you got a little one that's going to love something like this, but maybe you don't have any other Brio track, and this doesn't come with any track, you don't necessarily have to go buy a set like that just to play with this. You can buy one of these expansion packs. These are generally, there's different sizes. They can vary in price quite a bit. Anywhere from $25 to $35, maybe $40 for one like these. That beginner expansion pack comes with like 11 pieces, and you can make an oval of track, or make a layout that has a couple turns and stuff. I mean, it's pretty basic, but you get a bunch of, you get some track with it, and you can make a layout, and you don't have to go buy a whole set. You can just get a train you like that one, and get some track pieces. This one is the intermediate one. This one's more expensive, of course, but you get a bunch more pieces. This one has 16 pieces, and you get some of those switches, so your train can change directions and go down a siding, or you can make a little bit more complicated layout like that. And the sky's the limit. About the most expensive Brio set there is gosh, I think it's like $200, maybe $250, and it's like the deluxe track pack thing. I'm getting the name a little bit wrong, but it's the deluxe Brio set something, and it comes with a tub of track, and it's not a cheap thing by any means, but that probably would have just about all the track you'd ever need. If you want to get a little extra, maybe that oval was cool, but you got space for a little bit bigger layout. These are pretty common. These are easy to find. I don't usually see loose track for sale at Barnes & Noble, but your toy stores, your specialty toy stores that carry Brio, they'll generally have these, and certainly Walmart and Amazon do. But this is just a box of straight track. These tracks are about a little less than a foot in length, and they have 4 of these. And you'd be surprised. Just maybe you have 2 on each side of the layout to even it out, but you'd be surprised how much that just a nice little straightaway really kind of adds. This one obviously was $15.99 at a specialty toy store, something like that. I think I've seen them as high as $20. So not inexpensive, but not if you're looking for a stocking stuffer or just an extra thing to open or whatever, that's great. I mean, there are things here for nicer price point. Something I reviewed about 6 months ago right there is the train garage. That's also a video a lot of people didn't watch, and I think that's kind of an underrated accessory, the train garage. You turn the little knob on top, what looks like the chimney, and the door rolls up, and you can pull your locomotive in there. Typically in the real world, those are used for repairs and stuff like that. That's where they work on them. And this kitty cat just really wants to be part of the show today. All right, get down, sweetie. They also make And I don't have one to show you, unfortunately, but they also make, it's called the Grand Roundhouse. And that's just, it has room to park probably 8 or 10 locomotives. It's a big roundhouse that they used to park old steam engines in, and it has a turntable and stuff. That's a very cool piece as well. So if you have a bigger collection and you have several locomotives and you need more than just one parking space, you can consider it a roundhouse. Then there's the signal station, which is very cool. Now, this switch, you can turn it one way or the other, and not if you have a battery-powered one, you don't have to worry about what direction it's going. It'll already take care of that. It has light that moves depending which way the switch. I don't believe it lights up. I think that's just a color, but depending which way the track is going, those change, and you got a cool tower there. Back in older times, before everything was electronic and run by computers and stuff, there would be a gentleman usually sitting there watching for the train, making sure everything was doing what it should, and he'd come downstairs and switch the track when a different locomotive was coming that needed to go somewhere else. Almost like you think of it almost like a lighthouse for trains in some ways. And let's move over to this big guy here. When I was young, Brio made, and it was like 5 pieces. They were all the same length as this, except this is 3 pieces. It was 5 pieces long, and I still have it. You've probably seen it in some of my videos. But there's a ramp up, and then there was a 3-piece like trestle bridge, and then a ramp down. And that was like the biggest bridge Brio made at the time. It was the coolest thing in my 3-4-year-old eyes, and I got one for Christmas, and that was just amazing. The modern equivalent is going to be this double suspension bridge. This is the largest bridge that Brio makes right now. And with those big red towering pieces of metal, and it's a suspension bridge, much looks, I'm sure, somewhat on purpose. It looks very similar to a famous bridge like the Golden Gate Bridge. And suspension bridges are still something we see out in the world a lot these days, but so that's exciting. It's something your little one will recognize, and it has the bright red, so that's really going to stand out on the layout and look cool. And bridges in general are just really cool to have on your train layout. So this runs for about $30, $35 is pretty normal. And it's definitely a very, very cool accessory. But if you only have a small oval of track, you're going to want to make sure to get some of these boxes of these straight pieces so you can balance out. If you got a big bridge on one side, you need to have enough straight track on the other side to balance it all out so it'll work. So something to keep in mind, depending on how much track you have. Then of course they sell smaller additional track depending on your needs. This is just a box, 4 straight pieces, and $16, not the cheapest. Here's a smaller, depending if you're getting very creative with your layout. Sometimes you have 2 female pieces come together and you need to figure out how to solve that. And this one has kind of the double male pieces and the normal male-female pieces. And I don't know if they refer to them as male-female or not, but I'm just thinking of tools and hardware pieces and stuff. That's kind of how electrical stuff, that's kind of how it's referred to. So that's what I'm saying here. I hope that's not incorrect. Now, if you get a big bridge, you can actually extend that a bit, and that's what these are for. You got these supports, and it's kind of hard to see from the picture here, but the ramp starts to go down. Well, if you have some extra straight pieces, you can put a support out there, and you can make your bridge even longer. And these run about $15. You get 2 of them. And they have a couple different styles. This red, I bought this red one because it seems to complement the bridge real nice. But they also have one that just kind of looks like a rock. And I believe they have a green colored one as well. But there's a gray one that looks kind of like a rock. And, it's just a nice way to extend your layout. You can, if you get enough of these and maybe you have another bridge, You can do called a two-tiered layout in model railroading, but you have like a ground track and then you have an elevated track, and you could do a whole loop that's elevated if you have enough bridges and supports. And then you have two trains going at the same time on separate loops. That's always really, really cool. So that's, that should give you a good starting point, hopefully, on Brio for this holiday season. If you already got a youngster with a bunch of trains and he doesn't maybe need a starter set or a bunch of extra track, then hopefully you got some ideas with this cool, there's a cool gold car that's out now that lights up. That's really cool. That gold engine. Don't see that a lot. That's shiny. That's, that's going to be a big hit with anybody. And this log car is so long, and it's very affordable. It's $15. I mean, you could maybe put 3 or 4 of them together, and it's pretty light. You put 3 or 4 together and have a nice long train of log cars. That would be very cool too. And then you got these little more custom things for your layout. And that's hopefully enough where you can get started. If you have any questions, you can always leave a comment. Hopefully I'm doing a good job explaining all this. I hope I didn't drop the ball on that. But yeah, there are more expensive sets than this, but as far as, keeping it under $100, I think this is a good place to start. You never know what level of interest your little one might have. I played with my train a lot. It was the go-to thing. It's a toy I didn't throw away as I got older because it had a lot of sentimental value. But not everybody likes that. So maybe if you go back again, I'll put a description in the video. But there's the little Forwest Railway set that was a $30 starter set, so it's less expensive than that one. It's a smaller track, and it comes with one engine and this one car that we looked at earlier. But that's, if you're not sure your person's into trains, maybe that's a more affordable way to start. Then you can add stuff later. That's one of the cool things with Brio. You could just always add and add and add and add. And when you're a grown up and you have a little extra money, you can buy a stupid amount of track and make a really big layout in your basement. Not naming any names here, but Brio's a lot of fun. And let's talk. Maybe you're like, oh my God, what track, that's expensive? And you're right. G scale, which is the scale of model railroading you typically see like LGB, like running under a Christmas tree or whatever. On average, that runs about $7 to $8 a foot, and that's considered expensive to most model railroaders. Unfortunately, Brio track is not far off. It's much more affordable in a lot of ways to do like an N-scale layout like I have over there, or HO or something like that. Brio track, just because it's all carved from wood and stuff like that, does tend to be a bit expensive. There are competitors to Brio. I'm not gonna say any of them are bad. Melissa and Doug make some nice trains. There's a couple other brands, and I'm not saying they're bad, but the gold standard for this kind of thing is really Brio. It really is. And I'll just say, I got my first Brio trains in 1983, and obviously I was a 3-year-old. I was playing with them pretty aggressively and stuff. Every single one of them still works today. I never had a piece of track break. They are a good quality product. The modern stuff, I don't believe is quite as solid as the stuff from the 80s, but it is still very, very good. It is not an inferior or bad product in any way, and that's part of why it's expensive. It is kind of the gold standard for toddler trains, and if you're going to get started in this, especially if you have somebody that's really into trains, I would suggest you just kind of bite the bullet and go with Brio from the get-go, because they do have the most accessories. And the train cars from the other brands and tracks and stuff, they're generally compatible. The trains will be, the tracks, they can be slightly different sizes and stuff, so they'll connect. But when you start connecting different curve pieces and stuff, that can get a little more tricky. But you know, if you got, especially if you have somebody that you know is just going to be into trains, I would suggest just, you know, it's a little more money, but just start with Brio. They're not going to break on you. They always fit together right. You know, it's just a great product, and I'd recommend starting there. And one of the beauties is, you know, okay, maybe you start with a starter set for Christmas time, and somebody does something good. They were well behaved at an important event or something. Well, you can add a car or a small train, a piece of track, and then it's birthday time, and you can add a big bridge. You know, it's you know, it's a good, much like you can keep expanding, and it really challenges them to come up with new layouts and use their imagination and stuff. And then trains are just cool. So I am gonna leave it there. Please consider subscribing. I'm trying really hard to get to 1,000 subscribers, so I hope you'll indulge me there. And I hope you liked this video and it helped you out for gift buying this year. And also, another reason to subscribe, every single one of these is going to get an in-depth review here in the very near future. Thank you.